Well, having had a rather good week, well, a good few weeks, I suppose, I feel not at all good today. I physically feel very deflated, and emotionally I feel rather deflated as well. I sometimes just get very pissed off with the crap stuff that goes on in this world, and that other human beings seem to not care or enjoy doing or think it's right that it ought to be done. The state of Georgia in America, not Russia, although this is the sort of thing we'd expect of Russia if we believed all the shit we were told, executed a man last night that had already been on death row for 20 years, which is cruel and unusual punishment in itself. But he was probably innocent. More than likely he was innocent. There was absolutely no physical evidence at all linking him to the crime, and most of the witnesses that said it was him withdrew their statements and claimed police coercion. But I actually don't give a fuck if he did do it. The fact that you murder people in the name of justice is just absolutely disgusting. It's outrageous. It isn't justice, it's vengeance. There's no such thing as justice, and it's about time people grew up and realised that fact. There is no justice. The only justice possible that would be justice would be for a perpetrator to feel not just what they made their victim feel, but what they made everybody else who was involved with that victim feel. That's justice. Anything else is vengeance. And I mean, Georgia's a southern state full of fucking Bible pushers. What did Jesus say? What would Jesus do is what you keep going on about. Well, he certainly wouldn't have done what you bastards did last night. Or rather, one person. It falls on the hands of the governor, because he could have stopped this. And the people actually involved in the killing. I mean, this sort of killing is far, far worse than any other sort, I think, because it is cold and calculated. And the people doing it don't believe they're killers. All the people involved don't think their hands get messy. I mean, talk about a human being's ability to be in denial when they want to be. It'll all come back to haunt them, most definitely. Anyway, from that to shagging, dog shagging that is. Not human beings shagging dogs, of course, that's not quite what I had in mind. I'm talking about, we've got Luca back. And of course the first thing he did was come in and pounce on the females, which caused a fight between Ada and Mary Grace, as usual. Those two just, you know, they've actually been good with each other for a long time. But Mary Grace really got the arsehole with Luca. If anyone's Lupa, it's me. But anyway, Luca. Yes, they had a fight. So I had to grab him and stop it, and basically lifted Grace into the house by her tail, and she was still growling. I had to hold her well away from me because I thought she'd bite me. God, bitches when they lose it. Reminds me of these lesbians that used to live next door when we lived in London. My God, you wanted to keep out of the way if they had a fight. I mean, I'm talking baseball bats here. I've never known such violent people. Well, that were women. Quite funny, I suppose. Still, they used to look after me. I remember there was some loonies having a go at my car, and I just phoned next door, and before I knew it, half a dozen lesbians descended upon these two men, and they didn't know what had hit them. And that was it. My car was safe. This was a long time ago. But anyway, I did eventually replace the amp with this Arcam amp, and it's just not comparable. Of course it shouldn't be for the bloody money. And now John wants a CD player. There is a CD BD player that goes along with this Arcam amp. It's its partner, if you like, its twin. So that is coming tomorrow, and he prefers not to ask how much all this is costing, which is probably just as well. Although, if I told him, and he popped his clogs now, well, to be honest, he's worth an awful lot more money to me now than after he retires. After April the 30th, and he's retired, that's it, his value drops by quite a lot. But if I was a gold digger, I wouldn't be with him for a start. I would have chosen somebody much richer. But anyway, I don't know why I feel so crap today when I've had a good week and when lots of good things are happening. And then I read this piece about the bullying. Yet another gay boy, a boy who's homosexual, has killed himself because of bullying. The bit has been posted to my Facebook page. When will it stop? It won't stop till bloody government stop giving religionists a get-out clause for their hatred. You know, it's not that long ago that they used the Bible to justify slavery and the subjugation of women and children, of course. They still use it to justify the beating of children. You should read some of the Christian claptrap you hear. I mean, I read an article online about how to use different sort of sticks on children. You know, from thin canes to thick canes, depending on their age and how naughty they'd been. And these people think they're Christians. Do you know, I just don't meet Christian people who are loving and kind. Or religionists, I should say. I'm sorry. I don't mean to... It's just obviously I come across more of them than I do of the other sort. But, you know... And the reason I just don't believe any of you is because you believe that if you don't believe, you're fucked. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're believing because you've got a gun held to your head, why should I believe you? That makes no sense. You know, and all these people that say that you can't be good unless you have a religion is complete and utter bollocks. I'm a good person. I know you'll argue with that, some of you, just because I'm gay and I'm not a Christian. So that equally, I mean, automatically makes me bad in your eyes. Well, you're the twat. But being good just for a reward is not being good. Being good is being good, not behaving good so you can get to some mythical bloody heaven. It's being good. You don't become good because you believe some twatty twat. I do love that word twat, I'm sorry, but I do. I'm going to look it up one day and see what it actually means, because I mean it in like idiot, because that's in the series Shameless, which is fantastic, by the way. It's all about the most really common, disgusting people you'd ever want to meet, and they're hilarious. They are really very funny, and it's very dramatic, and it's very sad, and they're very real. You know, they're not like, oh, poncy middle-class twats like myself, I suppose. They're much more down to earth. It's very good, and they're always using that word. That's where I got it from. Twat. 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 It just sounds so apt. Twat is a good word. they use it to mean idiot, and I use it to mean idiot, although they also use it to mean hit. If you're not careful, I'll give you a good twatting. Which is very strange, but there we are. So it means to hit or to twat. I mean, or to... Oh dear. Well, there we go. Now I've gone off subject. I've gone off the subject. I mean, before I got carried away by twat, what was I saying? Oh yes. I was watching a program the other day, and this will really upset you. This is Horizon. It was about the latest scientific studies to do with the human brain, and particularly to do with children. And guess what? We're born good, most of us. And we know this from doing tests on brains and on tiny, tiny children. And our natural inclination is to be good. And guess what? Psychopaths have bits of their brain missing. When you scan them. And when you show them words, they have no reaction. Whereas somebody like me or you, our brain would register according to the word we saw. We saw apple, or we saw rape, or we saw Christmas pudding, or we saw murder. There would be a reaction, but with psychopaths there isn't any. And not all psychopaths are serial killers either. A lot of psychopaths could have been your parent. Could be you, for all you know. Psychopaths they know how to act being good. I wonder if Governor Perry or Michelle Bachmann would come to mind. They certainly come to my mind when I'm thinking about this. There also tend to be CEOs and people in charge of a lot of other people. And people who can make 7,000 people redundant and not worry, not lose any sleep about it. Psychopaths make good businessmen. So, you don't become good. And that's one of the very interesting things is it turned out that one of the shrinks that was involved in all this testing turned out to be a psychopath himself. And it ran in his family. And it turned out he was related to Lizzie Borden. And, but he was brought up really well. And he was loved by his mum. And his dad, I assume. And therefore he didn't become a monster. But he still had problems in being unable to empathise. Hardly surprising he was a shrink. I've never met one yet who could. But, anyway. But I've always believed this. They should have just asked me, should have saved millions on doing those tests. Of course babies are born good, you twat. Honestly. These idiots that believe they're born evil until they've had their original sin washed away by the fucking baptismal bleeding waters. Oh God, people are such twats. Of course, I don't suppose these people ever stop to think and watch a programme like that. They don't want to be educated. Oh God, no. That's the last thing they want. Can't be educated. Had the bloody Johos here actually I don't think they stop at our door anymore, because we haven't for a long time, and I've seen them still marching up and down the street, but they keep away from our door. They've probably painted an imaginary cross on it. But the last time John had to hold me back because this fucking bitch, and I'm not going to apologise for calling her a fucking bitch, knocked on the door and then pushed this child in front of her and said, "My friend here has some good news for you." And I wanted to smash her in the face. How dare she fucking well abuse a child like that? And it was only John who prevented me going into one. She still should have been told though, so I had to go at him. I said, "You should have at least let me tell her that she shouldn't be abusing the child." But he was quite right. If I'd gone off like that, it would have frightened the child, and she would have just dismissed me as the spawn of Satan like they did all those years ago. Spawn of Satan. Spawn of a twat. Well, I was, I'm sorry, but my dad was a complete and utter twat. My mother wasn't much better. But spawn of Satan is going a little bit too far. I mean, I know they were abusive twats, but Satan? No. He was far too much of a wimp to be Satan. Anyway, this twat's going. Okay, bye.